I just want to explain my position on a subject. I'm not religious. Can't stand religion. Despise it. Detest it. It is repulsive. To be religious is to literally I would describe religion as a dog turd rolled in glitter. Looks pretty. All that bling bling. It's still dog shit. Politics is a religion because you have to believe. What was Barack Obama's chorus? Change we can believe in. Nothing changes with politics. It's just the same old shit, just rolled in some new glitter. To govern the minds of people. Government means mind. Religion comes from the word religare, it's Latin. It means to bind, to tie down, bondage. But religion's supposed to make you free. Have fun with the bondage. But what's being binded? Well, it's the mind. I'm also not an atheist. So I exist between religion and atheism. I refuse to be put in a box because I've smashed the box. The box that was put around me. The first video I've posted on this channel is called In Shadow. Watch that. Watch it repeatedly as you develop as an individual. And more will be revealed in that animated cartoon. It embodies the truth of you, the individual. And I keep saying this, individuals. I'm not interested in groups. I'm not interested in group gingangoolies. I'm not interested in the love and light brigade. I am interested in simple, occulted truths that have been hidden from humanity, disguised in books, with a veneer of religious shit and glitter. But when you clear all the shit away, you're left with the glitter. But as an internal thing, when you look at your mind and what you believe in, the illusions of the mind, when you overcome all that shit, the lead, then you turn that lead into gold because you start to respond to the simple instructions. You've heard about, these old ancient occultists, and they would lock themselves in the high tower of the castle, and they would experiment trying to turn lead into gold. That's just foolishness to think of it in that way. What they were doing, they was isolating themselves in the high place. They was going inside their tower. Your body's a tower. And they're in the top of the tower, which is your brain. And they're turning the lead of the ego intellect into gold. There is a higher authority. The universe is conscious. It's conscious energy. And it's indifferent to those that don't know it. But those that do know it will know themselves. Know yourself. When you're meditating, you are looking into the void. And the void looks back. But you've got to be in the darkness to see the light. It's the best place to see it. Now I'm speaking metaphorically. I'm using symbolic language. Because those of you that have experienced this will understand what I'm saying. And you'll know it's true. Those of you that have heard, I've heard none of this. it will sound so real, but so abstract. But the greatest abstraction of all is the story we tell ourselves. There's a film, it's called The Drop, and I forget the actors' names. Tom Hardy's one of them, and you've got the other guy who played the lead role in the show called The Sopranos. The character Tony, I think his name was. Anyway, the film is situated in Brooklyn, and the film's called The Drop, and it's where all the illegal money goes to a bar, and they put it in a barrel, and then it goes to the villains that have been doing their business. But the drop moves all the time, so the police or the feds can't track where the money's going. So it's a funnel, and it goes to the bosses of these syndicates. And the character Tony Soprano in this film, he has these illusions, and there's a particular line or part of the story where I keep forgetting his name, where Tom Hardy, who's the barkeep, he lets a poor woman sit in a chair at the bar, and he gives her free drinks all night, looks after her. And he does it on purpose to piss Tony Soprano off. And in the end, the Tony Soprano character being played in the film The Drop, he complains, "You think I didn't see that? You put her in my chair. That's a special chair. That stool, yeah, that belonged to somebody. And you put her in that, and then you gave her free drinks all night." And then Tom Hardy says, "It's just a stool. It's just an empty stool." So these illusions that this individual, he'd given this stool great importance. He'd given this stool, it made it into an idol. And that's what religion does. That's what government does. Builds statues to the legacies of idols, like Winston Churchill, Cecil Rhodes. In recent times, people have been pulling these statues down. They don't have a legacy. They just have bullshit. And they're called legends. Oh, Winston Churchill, the legend. Leg end. At the top of a leg end is an arse. And it's all bollocks. But so long as people keep worshipping something outside of themselves, the people will never see who they really are. And some people might hear this and go, "Oh, okay." And they'll start to go within and look at their own lies, the own stories they tell themselves. They can't face it. Can't get through it. That's why Jesus said the path is narrow and difficult, and few find it. It's narrow because only an individual can walk it. So I'm talking to the individuals. I'm not talking to groups. It's difficult because you've got to face your own bullshit. You've got to recognise that all the stuff that you've believed in, that you've been telling yourself, is little more than a turd rolled in glitter. And when you can accept that, all the illusions start to fall apart. But you're doing this in conjunction with cleaning your house. Dead flesh, you ain't eating that shit anymore. Alcohol, that's gone. You're being mindful about what you eat, physically and psychologically, what you hear and see. And the more you reveal about the lies that the mind has been telling you, it will all start to fall down. And in the process of all that shit falling down, the ego mind will be trying to prop it up. But as the understanding is realised that you're propping up lies, eventually you'll just let it all fall away. And you're naked. And God said, who told you you're naked? It's literally, the story's telling you, who told you you're naked? You're not naked. It talks about, pleading a case for the orphans, those that don't know their mother and father. The electromagnetic energy, electric, father, magnetic, mother. And the two come together. It twines like this. Look it up in the universe, it's called a Birkeland current. This is how reality is made. And where the electromagnetism crosses over, it's called a dialectic Z point or pinch point. And at that point, that's where light is formed. Light. So the mother and father come together and a child is born. And the child is light. And the light is consciousness, the light of consciousness. They don't want people to be awake. They want you to be bound up with bullshit. They don't want to realise, or they don't want you to realise that you are, in actual fact, a spiritual... This is a quote, you've probably heard this before, and I'm going to say it without the love and light connotations, that you are a energy being, a spiritual being, having a human experience. This is just an avatar, this body. It's been given to me, and I can use it for a limited period of time. I can't own it. It's on loan. When somebody lends you their car, you look after it. If it was petrol, you wouldn't put diesel in it, would you? Well, the equivalent of that is eating dead flesh and drinking alcohol. And you expect a great performance. No, it's not going to perform very well, is it? It's just going to turn you into a fucking quail. Tame, docile, can't fly very high, easily caught. Again, understand the simple implications of a very simple story. Religion is the worst thing that has happened to humanity. In every single sense. It's false hope, it's lies, it's worshipping the external. And the Pope will sit there on his solid gold throne and talk about poverty and the poor. And the 1.2 billion Catholics will cling to his every word, just like shit clings to glitter. It's fucking appalling. And government's the same thing. Fuck it, all that shit's gotta go. It's all gotta go, and it will go. All these people protesting, tearing statues down, that's inevitable. That's part of groups waking up. The group wakes up and realises that the group is being manipulated. So the group fights back. That's exactly what they want. But the individual in the group will pull back from that and just stand alone and go within. I don't condone violence in any way, shape or form. I did that for a living for a long time. Do to others as you would do to yourself. Tell people the truth and be radically honest. But people can't do that if they don't know the truth. Don't look to the legal system for truth. Justice is lost in the law. The upper echelons of the legal systems protects, aids and abets pedophilia, slave trading, protects those that are at the top of the man-made pyramid, and at the very top of it is religion. No, we've got a secular country, and it's separate. It's secular. The state's separate from religion. Is it? Fuck you talk. The Houses of Parliament, they have all these religious ceremonies. None of it's separate. Society, Western society, all societies, all cultures are born and fed from the disgusting tit of religion. Tony Blair, the war criminal, once he'd given up his office or was moved out to be replaced by another moron. Who was that moron? It was that one-eyed Scottish prick, Gordon Brown. Anyway, Tony Blair rushes off to the Vatican, gets on his knees and kisses the Pope's ring. Ass kisser, in the literal sense of the word. And then converts to Catholicism. He's just buying a ticket for more power and control. And then what was his job? The United Nations ambassador to peace in the Middle East. You can't make this up. So you've got a war criminal who's a United Nations ambassador to Middle Eastern peace processes. The lunatics are running the asylum. It's true. And you've got the mass media there which controls the narrative, but they're losing control of the narrative. YouTube and Google are trying to adjust their algorithms to manipulate the way people are going. But the people, they're trying to push a left agenda, so the people are snapping back violently to the right. Everything's about balance in nature. Everything has to be balanced. The left and right has to meet in the middle to be a worker of equity as opposed to inequity, a worker of unbalance. So you as an individual and the energy that's in your body, it has to be balanced. You have to be a worker of equity as opposed to inequity. And that's how Jesus referred to people. And I'll be revealing more of these intricate and profoundly simple sayings so people can grasp what is being said. They call Jesus the Prince of Peace. Even in the book, Jesus says, "Why do you call me the Prince of Peace? I don't come to bring peace, I come to bring division." And people look at the world and say, "Oh, we're being the divide and conquer." Yeah, but that's just the world. What about you, the individual? When you're meditating and you have that split in your psyche, psyche means soul, it's Greek, and you'll be watching the mind, and the mind's doing what it does. A babbling monkey, but you're watching it. So who's the watcher and who's the mind? Welcome to a shift in your consciousness. That's the division. Jesus is your higher consciousness that you need to tap into. It is not external to you. It is inside you. And when the two become one, it's so simple. But the ego loves complexity. It loves a mystery. The truth is out there. It's not. It's inside you. It's inside all of you. But few find it. Why did Jesus say few find it? It's because it's difficult. How many of you are brave enough to look at your own shit and recognize it as shit? How many of you brave enough to cut away the shit? It's a warrior's path, not a warrior's. It's for matadors, not doormats. Here's something for you to ponder. On the subject of eating dead flesh. The gladiators, those guys that would fight in the rings to entertain the mob, they were vegetarian. And you'd think, why? You'd think they'd be eating steak and... No. The proper gladiators were vegetarian because they knew that dead flesh reduces the capacity of the body to work for, at a high level for extended periods of time. And if you've got a shield and a sword and you're cutting and thrusting and blocking as you're slaying the Christians, as the Romans would have you believe, the Christians are full of shit, fucking religious morons. But if you're eating meat, your body's acidic. And in your muscles, you get acidosis, lactic acid overload, and your muscles start to seize and cramp up. Those of you that have worked hard and the next day you have what they call DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, and you can hardly straighten your arms. That's because the muscles are suffering from acidosis. But if your body is alkaline, you don't have that. Or you have it, but much reduced. You just stretch off and you're good to go again. The gladiators knew that. So did the Spartans. Sparta. They were vegetarian. Some of the greatest warriors that ever lived were vegetarian. And interestingly as well, the Spartans, they were Greek, but they declared themselves invaders of Greece. And the Senate in Athens would be, but they're Greek, but they say they've invaded Greece. In other words, they were saying to Athens and the Senate, we want nothing to do with you. This is our land. This is Sparta. Because as a collective, as individuals, they knew what Athens didn't. And they formed a collective. A very powerful collective. They succumbed in the end because the women would marry the most successful warrior. But the most successful warrior is always at the front, isn't he? He's always at the front, cut and thrust. And he might get taken out and die. And then the Sparta government would pay her, the wife, a purse. And she would invest it. And there were some women that got very, very powerful. And they started to influence the Spartan courts. And it destroyed them from within. Feminism. Again, they'd lost the balance. But they were vegetarian. You've got this thing called veganism now, which is another, don't be radical. Don't be labelling yourselves. These fucking labels. When people start to discover the truth of things, they become radicalized and start pushing agendas. Don't. Change yourself, and then the world will change for you. Don't try and change the world. Because the world will piss up your back and tell you it's raining. And you'll just get annoyed. And you'll make no progress. you will block yourself. That's why that character Jesus said, let the righteous remain righteous. Let the filthy remain filthy. Mind your own fucking business. That's what he's saying. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. It's funny, the Apostle Paul said, they become lovers of self. Precisely. It's what you should be. How can you love others if you don't love yourself?